Hi everyone, I'm Nikunj, co-founder and CEO at TrueFoundry, and today I'm going to show you how TrueFoundry is building tools to empower machine learning teams to move fast, launch new models to production, continuously upgrade their existing models to gain competitive advantage, while not needing to worry about operational issues like package and version management, dependency management, how to debug your Docker containers, or launch a completely new model like LSTM on TensorFlow. And you can do all of this while still following some of the best engineering practices, like making sure your models, your dataset are versioned, the services that you're deployed are completely versioned following CI/CD pipelines, and they can be you can roll back to a previous version if you need to. Whereas your machine learning models in production are also monitored. You can monitor your data drift. If something is broken, you will be alerted right away. So let's see this with an example. Imagine that you are a machine learning developer who is building out a classification model for Iris dataset. You searched through your optimal hyperparameters and figured out the absolute best model, and now you're ready to deploy it. What you would need to do is create an API endpoint, and that involves a lot of boilerplate code, implementing Docker containers, figuring out the infrastructure and deployment. We actually take care of that while allowing you to focus on your Python code. So imagine that you implement this predict function, which takes 4 numbers as input. It does some kind of pre-processing and then invokes your model here. After that, you basically do some post-processing, which returns the response in a human-readable format. Now, this function is simple, but this pattern is very common where you do some pre-processing with your data, you invoke your model, and then you implement your post-processing function. So after that, to deploy this as an API endpoint, TrueFoundry builds a library which will allow you to figure out your package and dependencies without needing to worrying about versions yourself. You invoke a couple of endpoints, and when you hit the .deploy API, you basically notice that you have created a new service amongst all the services that you're able to track here anyways altogether. Now this service actually comes with an API endpoint that you can expose to your production or engineering team, who can actually try out the actual model by providing inputs to the model and seeing the response of your model predictions. If you wanted to get feedback from more business-facing users, or you wanted to just debug your model if something is not working, you can build out simple web apps that will again invoke your model, and you can flag if something is not working. Besides this, you would notice that every single service that is getting deployed comes with their own monitoring and logging setups. So now you can monitor your resource consumption, your number of API invocations, or the latency of your response. And you can do this while following completely your logs as well. This is very useful, particularly in your staging environments. That is, before you launch out your model, you can see that it will not be ruled out in production because of latency issues. Besides that, every single service that you deploy using TrueFoundry is actually versioned, so that if something in your new version is broken, you can always revert to an older version very quickly. You can manage more complicated things like your secret management, database credentials, which you never want to check in your code using our platform as well. After this, if you wanted to go ahead and build out monitoring of your machine learning models specifically, which is different from your system monitoring, you basically invoke one log line that we expose you, where you can log the features of your that were sent to your model, the actual prediction, along with a unique ID. This unique ID will later be used for you to log your actuals as well. So that way you can track the performance of your model in production. So here you're seeing a quick dashboard where you are seeing the distribution of your predictions and actuals for the same Iris dataset example. You can compare the distribution of this, what you're seeing in production, with your training dataset as well. And you can see that your production actually matches the distribution of your training dataset. If something was not working, you can actually look at the feature by feature distribution to see if some of your data has drifted. And if there are actual drifts, you can set up your alerts, which will be sent out to your Slack or emails. This entire thing can be done with more complicated models as well, where if you're working with image datasets or dataset with a lot of features or text dataset, this entire setup would work in that setting as well. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at nikunj@truefoundry.com, spelled as NIKUNJ@truefoundry.com. Thank you.